Who or what is chasing the Americans out of their country? Seems like there's an invisible fire that only they can see. Otherwise, why the mass movements? Thousands of Americans are deciding every day that living where they are is not for them. The ideal city to make their American dream come true now happens to be in Mexico. Why is this happening? Is it true that life is way easier being in Mexico than remaining in the US? Let's find out. It is estimated that 1.6 million US citizens are currently living in Mexico. States like California, San Diego, Texas, and a bunch of others are experiencing an increase in domestic migration. There isn't even much immigration happening to even things out. Foreigners aren't interested in moving to the States. Let's just say things have changed, and not many people still think of the US as a place to make all your dreams come true. Now, these migrants from the US all seem to favor Mexico in particular. Not the UK, Brazil, Europe, or Italy, but Mexico. Mexico is rapidly becoming the metaphor for a better future for fresh graduates, professional workers, and even entire families. Is Mexico the literal paradise we've been hearing of? We'll see. Mexico remains in the top spot for relocation options for Americans seeking a better life. The reasons are relatable and not far-fetched either. Mexico has a much lower living rate than California, San Diego, Texas, and other states. Moving to Mexico has made many Americans have a taste of the good life while earning the same amount they did back home. If you think you're poor, try a vacation in Mexico for a start and you'll be amazed. The cost of living in America is incredibly high, and most of the states rank top 10 in highest charging states. In the early years, Americans were moving to Mexico at a rate that was not alarming. But after the pandemic, things have changed, and now more and more people are moving. This is happening because the pandemic made remote working popular, and so many people don't have to bother about losing their jobs when they move to Mexico. They simply continue their work like nothing's changed, and they get to enjoy one of the sweetest benefits of moving to Mexico: earning in dollars while spending in pesos. Besides the option of retaining one's current job while in Mexico, there are a good number of Americans who don't mind working in Mexico. They quit semi-decent jobs in America and get completely new jobs in Mexico. There's even a third set of movers, those who still work in the US but live in Mexico. How do they do it? They commute daily from Mexico to the US and back, and for them, this is worth it. California is one of the most expensive places to live in. Inflation is steadily shooting through the roof. Prices of goods keep skyrocketing, and frankly, Californians are tired. Healthcare is expensive, taxes are too much. It'd take years to be able to own a decent home, and there doesn't seem to be an end in sight to these problems. Mexico is America's solution to these problems. Moving to Mexico offers endless benefits to the mover. There's hardly any regrets once the move is made. Living in Mexico is affordable. Here, you can feel your hard work paying off. Luxuries you weren't able to afford in California and other states will no longer be a concern to you. You can buy your house with money you're currently making, and the taxing system is fair. Doesn't it sound too good to be true? That you can get a house for half the price of what it would have cost you back in the US? This is a good motivation for why some people have left the US. In Mexico, you can take a break, relax, and not feel like time is moving against you. You can meet all of your goals if you apply the right effort. If you think that Mexico must be some underdeveloped third world country for things to be so cheap there, you're wrong. Mexico is a part of the fast developing states in the world. It has enviable infrastructures, great technology, and fast internet. You're not going to be missing anything by moving to Mexico. Nearly everything you have in the US is available in this beautiful city, usually for half the price. Their healthcare is something else to brag about. Mexico has organized, efficient, and well-equipped healthcare systems. Procedures you cannot go through with because of its cost, you could get them done in Mexico, with good service too. So in Mexico, you're covered. Living here is safe too. Crime rates are less compared to what we have in the US. Pay no mind to what you watch in the movies about drug lords fighting each other. That hardly happens, and when it does, the violence is usually between the parties having the altercations. Mexico is a pretty safe place to live in. For those who decide to stay in the US because they can't stand the thought of being away from their family and friends, Mexico is ridiculously close to you. It is within the same time zone as the US, and if you're holding on to the hope that things will get better where they are because you don't want to be away from your family, Don't worry, you can see them every other day. What sort of weather person are you? Do you love the warm, dry air? Do you like pretty temperate weather, or do you prefer the cold? Mexico has them all. Just browse through and decide where you'd like to settle in. Anywhere you decide to settle has all you need to live comfortably. Mexicans are friendly people with a rich culture. You're not going to have a hard time when you change cities. The people are super helpful and will be glad to help you out. Some understand English too, so getting around town won't be a problem. It'd be nice if you knew a little Spanish though. It'll give you an edge. Now the food. Mexico will take care of your spirit, soul, and body. Their variety of healthy dishes should be able to convince you to stay if the other factors fail too. You can eat healthy meals to your heart's content without having to worry about not being able to afford healthy meals. They are affordable. Staying back in the US while others are moving puts you at a disadvantage. When a state begins to experience domestic migration in staggering numbers, it means economic activities will decline, thereby stalling economic growth and developments. Individuals aren't the only people leaving California. Businesses are moving too. They are leaving California because of unfavorable business laws and tax systems. Home property tax, sales tax, corporate tax. They're crazy, and these companies have decided that they've had enough. And so they pack up and leave. The more companies leave, the fewer jobs would be available. The state already is experiencing a brain drain because professionals are getting better offers elsewhere. The economy will take a plunge. Better to be on the other side as this is already happening. Why are Americans leaving for Mexico? They're moving because it is the smart thing to do. With reduced tax rates, affordable lifestyle, friendly people, great healthcare, beautiful scenery, and excellent food, it's no wonder why Mexico is the perfect place to move to. Mexico makes it possible to do most things you've ever wanted to do back in the US, but you couldn't afford to. You can give your family a better life by making what is probably going to be one of the best decisions you've ever made when you decide to move to Mexico. The benefits over there are simply too much to pass up.